Hi everybody, it's Jen. Welcome back to my channel, Hallmark Plus More, where we watch and talk about shows, movies, mysteries, Hallmark ornaments, and anything else that floats our boat. So today I'm going to be reviewing a Hallmark Channel original series called Chicken Sisters, Season 1, Episode 3. So I did do a Let's Watch a couple episodes of this series back when I first started the channel, when it was exclusively on Hallmark Plus. But now that it's regularly on the Hallmark Channel, I just wanted to do a review of the episode. So before I get into that, just want to say thank you to everybody who subscribes to my channel, likes my videos, leaves me comments. If you have any questions or comments about the episode, you can leave them below. I enjoy interacting with everybody. So getting into this episode at the beginning, they always do a previously on Chicken Sisters, right? By the way, I love that it's narrated. You've probably heard me say that before. It just fills in the gaps, and I actually love that it's narrated throughout. So I hope that continues. So she's kind of telling you what happened previously, and you see that little bit of flirtation between Amanda and Sergio. Which I guess you can probably have seen that before, but we know Sabrina Sky saw it. So it's one thing for them to kind of, pretend like it's not really there. But she is producing this kitchen clash and she's really into drama. So the fact that she sees it and then she even tells Amanda, like, hey, I see it, but I'm not going to act on it, makes me nervous because she's all about the drama. She did not hesitate or wait a moment to tell May, hey, I found out about your first job, and oh, the little birdie was your sister. So, right there, Sabrina is all about creating that drama, that good TV. And she is not, holding in those secrets. Amanda did not want her to tell May about what she told her, but she was like happy to do it. So I'm nervous about her knowing about that little flirtatious, what she sees, because I feel like she's got it under her hat and she's going to use it if she needs to. So Amanda and Sergio better be careful and not act on it or do anything, because Sabrina Sky apparently sees the chemistry as well. So, and then obviously you see what happened in the last episode. So, Amanda was coming to apologize to May. She didn't know Sabrina already told her. She was drunk and painting, and she painted over the sign. Amanda saw it. That made Amanda upset. It was really the only thing tying her to Mimi's, right? Because now she works at Franny's. But that sign, that drawing, meant something to Gus as well. And you even see later in the episode, Gus has a moment with Amanda and was like, hey, I want you to know it wasn't me. So I felt like that was kind of a soft moment for Gus because, she's got tough love mom, and she still wanted to reach out to Amanda to let her know, like, I didn't destroy the sign. I know it's your drawing. But Amanda was like, I don't care. And May was like, Amanda, it'll hurt Amanda's feelings. And Gus is telling her she has to fix the sign because it looks hideous, right? With just a bunch of paint and a big M on it. So that's kind of what happened last time. So definitely a lot going on that we can see here. Amanda talks to her daughter about getting arrested. And her daughter is very smart. Amanda is very nostalgic. I feel like, her marriage is kind of in that stale spot, and everything in her house is all about older memories, when she got married, what they did on their honeymoon. She keeps the dried flowers from her reception, from her bouquet. So she's kind of living in the past. Not that that's a bad thing. I am very big on reminiscing and nostalgia. If you've seen my videos, that's how I buy my Hallmark ornaments. What reminds me of my childhood, my family. But she's kind of living in the past, right? So she's trying to spice stuff up with her husband. She wants to have another child. Frank Jr. is not really wanting to do that. You see it a little bit in this episode too. He kind of holds it over Amanda's head, like, hey, we need to win this competition. You want another baby, don't you? And I feel like, to me, I don't like that little jab. Like, I think that's kind of rude. But Amanda's like, oh, yeah, I do. Okay. So it's working for her. But her daughter knows how much mom likes to reminisce. So she kind of got out of her punishment by looking at old photo albums of her mom, knowing her mom would kind of go off on a tangent and, kind of remember those old days. And she's a very smart teenager. You see her later hang out, with Sabrina Sky's daughter. They're really the only two teenagers on the show. So I like that they're getting along and helping each other. Now, you find out at the end that Sabrina Sky's daughter's punishment was she got her phone taken away. And then you find out at the end of the episode, like she got her phone back by hanging out with Amanda's daughter. So my thought is like, okay, I know I just mentioned like Sabrina Sky, don't put anything past her, right? She wants to make good TV and she'll befriend you and then, she'll stab you in the back to make good TV. So, I mean, I hope they don't exploit the daughter because Amanda's daughter is really sweet and she's she's in the middle of this feud, right? Because she is the product of both families. So I really hope whatever Sabrina has a deal with her daughter to get in with Amanda's daughter, I hope it doesn't turn out to be anything, but we don't know. We just know at the end, here's your phone. Thanks for getting close with the daughter. And that's all we really know. We really don't know what exactly the deal was. So again, that just I love the character Sabrina Sky. The actress is amazing. You've probably seen her in other Hallmark films, but she's a little devious. Like I'm as much as I like the character, I'm thinking, okay, what are you gonna do, right? Because you have all these secrets and you're gonna release them right at the right time to cause the most drama and the best TV. So Amanda, kind of wants to get revenge on May and Mimi, and they come up with a plan with Frank Jr. About like sabotaging them, right? And then her daughter's like, "Hey, that's not what we do," and she was like, "Okay, you're right, that's not what we do." But then, of course, Frank Jr. convinces her to do it, so she kind of you know, I don't want to say sneaks her way in. She kind of lies her way in, asks her mom to use the bathroom. She sees Sergio. He's the only guy or only person in the kitchen because it's before the lunch rush. It's like mid morning. And she sabotages their tea. And they find out on film. Sabrina Sky goes to film at Kitchen Clash, and the customers are drinking the tea and they're spitting it out. And then Sergio drinks it and says on camera, it's sabotage, which I felt like, he used the right words. Sabrina ate it up. It was all on film. However, all the customers left, right? Because the food was good, but the tea was sour and terrible. And Amanda's in her car watching it and laughing. So Sergio confronts her and was like, look, you're the only person that's been in the kitchen besides me. You had to have sabotaged the tea. And she's like, it's just a prank. It's just a prank. But, Sergio's like, no, we lost our lunch rush. So she tells May, and May's kind of impressed that Amanda would, be that devious to play a prank on her. But May's not, right? Because she's been lying to her fiance in New York. She's ashamed of where she came from. She's ashamed of where she's from. And she's lied and been deceitful, her life. So she's like, I didn't know she had it in her. I'll take care of it, Mom. So the next morning, May goes to buy the chickens, and you kind of saw this in a flashback when they were younger, the first time Amanda sees Frank Jr., because both places buy their chickens from the same place, a local farm. I mean, this is a small town. So, May goes and tells him, like, yeah, they already have too many chicken. They told us to buy all the chicken. So May buys all the chicken. So then, Nancy goes to buy her, regular dose of chicken. And they're like, oh, there's none left. May says that, and Mimi's needed all the chicken. You didn't need it. So Nancy's kind of mad because now she has no chicken. So she confronts Gus and was like, hey, that's pretty low. And then Nancy basically finds out. So you've got Gus and May, Nancy, and Amanda. And Gus and May tell Nancy, like, hey, we only did it because you sabotaged our tea. Like, I lost money. That ruined the entire, lunch rush. So Nancy had no idea, right? Nancy is the goody two shoes in the show. So she was like, Amanda, apologize. That's not, right behavior. And, Amanda's kind of like, whoa, they deserved it. But Nancy was like, look, I didn't know about the tea. Can you please sell us some chickens? So, Gus is like 30% markup. I'll sell you the chickens. You have to cover my lunch rush that, I lost because of your prank. So I believe, Nancy's going to pay it. She needs the chicken, right? But she didn't know about it. So I like Nancy, even though she's kind of the goody two shoes, because there's always one in every story, right? Amanda's the same way. She was when she was younger, she did everything she was told, right? She grew up, she fell in love with Frank Jr., but he was kind of the other business, their rivalry. But she grew up, she had a daughter, she kind of like followed Nancy's way where you just kind of, yes, nod and do the right thing and be the good girl. So, Amanda did kind of go that route. But with Gus and May and Amanda and Nancy kind of like hashing it out. I think Amanda, I think Nancy was actually surprised because she didn't think Amanda would do that. So, however, Frank Jr. finds out and he gets kind of mad, when, because Nancy is trying to tell Frank Jr., like, this isn't the way your daddy would have done it, and trying to get him to stop drinking and kind of man up and, wear the suit or the jacket, at least, I guess, like a nice shirt, and dress up for work, pour the drinks for the customers, not yourself, and trying to give her, kind of some of the rules that, Frank Jr.'s dad did at the restaurant. And it worked a little bit. The first couple of days he went to work, he was doing great. He still convinced Amanda to sabotage Mimi's again. But he worked all day. And when Amanda came, he was like, oh, I worked all day. I don't feel like doing it. You do it yourself. And they kind of had, a little spat there. And Amanda was kind of mad. She's like, I waited all day and I came back. I'm dressed in all black. Like I'm ready to go do some more sabotage. So even though Frank Jr. didn't want to go, I still feel like it was his idea of what to do. Amanda's acting on her own though. So Nancy comes back because he was going to close up and has another heart to heart with Frank Jr. because now he's drinking again. And Nancy's like, I heard about the tea. And Frank Jr. was like, that was all Amanda. And then Frank Jr. gets mad at Nancy for having to pay 30% markup. So she was kind of like, well, that's because of the tea. Like, I feel like Nancy was saying, yeah, we've never had to pay that before, but you're doing pranks. And Frank Jr., being the not so good person he is, blames everything on Amanda. It's Amanda's idea. She's doing another one right now. So now Nancy's like, what? So I feel like, when she found out, she was genuinely surprised, and I feel like she was going to go stop Amanda. How? I don't know if she was going to go to Mimi's, or go to Gus's house. I mean, I was just like, she's going to get up and try to stop something. And during the episode, you kind of have scenes with Gus and May. They've had a couple heart to hearts. May actually goes to Gus's house at night when Amanda's sabotaging and kind of talks to her and is like, this is why I didn't want to come to your house. You've always picked the stuff over us. And, it was kind of one of those conversations you have to have with your mom at some point. I feel like that was needed. They also have kind of like a flashback of May and Kenneth, because remember, Kenneth and May were childhood friends. Now Kenneth and Patrick own the inn. So Kenneth is helping May kind of fix up Mimi's and make it more, I don't know, approachable, or, better for TV, painting it, making it, taking down the handwritten signs and trying to make it more presentable for May's perspective. Obviously, Gus thinks it's fine. Because it's more her style, but she's open to May, improving it and in her mind. And they talked about how they kind of had their falling out, and it was really mainly May. I mean, Kenneth comes to New York to visit May. I mean, he actually travels there, and then May just blows him off with yet another lie, because remember, May lies to everybody about her personal life, even to Kenneth, who knows where she came from. Didn't tell her where she was working, or I'm sorry, she didn't tell him where she was working, and I mean, kind of left him high and dry, right? He's already in New York. He's in his hotel. Like, he already traveled there. And then May's like, well, I can't see you. So he's basically like visiting a city by himself. However, that is where he met Patrick. So, I mean, kind of a happy ending there. That's what started, his meeting and relationship with Patrick. But, you kind of do see that backside, or backstory of kind of how May dissed him when he visited in New York. So, definitely nice to see that backstory. The more I watch the show, the more I really love Kenneth, because especially in this episode, I mean, he traveled. I'm sorry, I can't imagine buying a plane ticket, a hotel room, an Uber, a taxi, and then the person I'm going to see like totally disses me and I'm just left in New York for the weekend by myself. I mean, I'd be pissed. I'm wasting all that money, and oh, I'm sorry, I forgot you were coming. I can't see you. And as a bold-faced lie, she was just working at a restaurant, or I'm sorry, a bold-faced lie. So, and the fact that he was so welcoming to her when she came back. So I just think Kenneth is a wonderful person, to be able to be so accepting of her when she came back, especially since she didn't apologize, right? Because she didn't even really remember it. His mother died. May never sent a sympathy card, said anything to him. So he went through that all by himself. Patrick was really there to help him through it. So, I mean, you're just really seeing, that May should have been a better friend to him, yet he doesn't hold any grudges. He's trying to help her paint Mimi's and fix it up. So, I'm really starting to like the personality of Kenneth, because he's being that friend to May that she needs, but for how May treated him, you gotta say he's a good guy to still be helping her. So it kind of leaves it with that, right? With, okay, what is Amanda going to do now that Nancy knows? And Nancy's not really into sabotage or anything like that. Like, she doesn't want to do anything like that. She heard about the tea. She's willing to pay the 30% markup for the chicken to kind of say, hey, that's not who we are. We're not going to do that anymore, Gus. I didn't know anything about this, Gus. Amanda acted on her own, right? And I think as much as Gus doesn't like Nancy, like she believed Nancy that her daughter acted on her own, but that was a little betrayal for Gus too. Like, look, I know you're with Franny's now, right? You married Frank Jr. and I kind of disowned you as my daughter, but I still can't believe you would sabotage our tea and sabotage, all our customers leaving on the lunch rush and think it's funny. And you find out later that Gus tells May, like, look, I have to win this competition. I'm in the red. Like I'm really hurting financially with my business with Mimi's. So, that prank did very much hurt the bottom line for her because that eliminated her entire lunch rush for that day. So, you kind of find that out and May's kind of seeing like, okay, I really need to be there for my mom. But Gus also feels betrayed, like I said, by Amanda for doing the prank, but also by May because it also comes out, Gus feels like May came home just to help me. So she's kind of like, I'm glad May came home to help me. And then you find out Amanda kind of tells Gus out of anger, May got fired from Sparkling. She's not home to help you. She's home so she can get on TV, so she can get back to New York and leave us. Like she's just here for herself to get on TV. So now Gus, was betrayed by Amanda for the prank, and now she is being told from Amanda that May, lied again, this time to her mom, because she never told her that she got fired from her show. She actually lied and said, well, they're filming season 2 right now, but I chose to come home to be here for you, Mom. So, I mean, she did the complete opposite. It's one thing if you don't tell your family, you kind of have that omission. They didn't ask, I didn't tell. But she went the opposite way and flat out lied and was like, Mom, I'm supposed to be taping season 2, but I chose to come home and help you. And now Gus is finding out that's another lie. She's only doing it to help herself. She was fired. She wants to get on TV with Kitchen Clash so she can get another show. So I know Gus has this tough love and people, don't like Gus because they think she's kind of mean. But she's getting a couple blows in this episode, so I kind of feel bad for her. So the end of the episode is really good because you actually find out what the sabotage is. You see Amanda, she sneaks into Mimi's, climbs in through the window, and she's destroying the food. She's throwing the fruit on the ground. She's stepping on the lettuce. She's ripping open the flour. I mean, we're talking like a 5-pound bag of flour, I don't know, 10-pound bag. And she's just destroying everything. And then she goes to unplug the fridge, okay, like the walk-in refrigerator, walk-in freezer, and she's trying to unplug it. And I'm thinking, whoa, okay, like you're already destroying their fresh produce, but you're gonna make everything spoil. So as she's leaning down and trying to pull out the plug, that's when Sergio turns the lights on and basically finds her. She's got flour on her face, because she's just stabbing it, and he like, is this what you wanted to do? You wanted to destroy, all of your mom's food? Were you just trying to unplug the fridge, like the walk-in refrigerator? Like he calls her out. And he's like, shame on you. Do you know how much money your mom is going to lose? Like, do you really want to do this to your mom? And I think he's trying to like, what are you doing, Amanda? Right? And Amanda's like, "Ah, I'm tired of doing the right thing. I'm good all the time. I'm always doing the right thing." And you kind of, Amanda, I feel like is getting tired of it, like she says, but it's like she's at her wit's end in her marriage, with her mom, with her sister, with her daughter. So I feel like Amanda kind of feels alone. She doesn't really have anybody on her side. And I just feel like she's had enough. I think Frank Jr. is kind of that, whisper in her ear of, maybe I should do something. And then her daughter is like the angel on her shoulder, like, Mom, we don't do that. Nancy, we don't do that. And then Frank Jr.'s the little devil going, yeah, but she destroyed your sign, Mimi's sign that you drew. And I feel like Frank Jr.'s voice is a little bit louder than the daughter and Nancy and her own conscience saying not to do it. She's tired of doing the right thing, right? I feel like all kids break at some point. All kids rebel. I feel like this is her rebellion, this midlife crisis, and she's tired of being good and she is just fed up with everything. So even though Sergio is kind of giving her a lecture and like shaming her for what she's doing, she's just like, I'm tired of being good. And then she goes, I'm tired of being good all the time. I'm tired of always doing the right thing. And then instead of Sergio continuing to lecture her, Sergio goes, then stop. And I was like, okay, what's going on here? Like, he's just like, stop doing that. And then Amanda and Sergio start kissing and they continue to kiss. So it's like neither one of them kind of pulled back. They kind of pulled together. He picks her up. He's sitting her on the counter. They're going, kissing heavy. And then all of a sudden they hear a knock on the door. You turn, Nancy's at the door. Remember, we saw her leave Frank Jr. I just figured, she would go to Gus's house but she went to Mimi's. She knocked on the door, being the polite person she is, and she sees them not just kissing, but kind of going heavy on the table there. And they see her. So it was like they see her at the door, and Nancy sees them kissing, and she kind of just and leaves, right? So Nancy actually did try to stop Amanda. So, that's kind of how the episode ends. So I'm very excited to see what happens next week. You see kind of the previews and Nancy's talking to Amanda and she's like, you really shouldn't wear your hair that way. You want to make sure you're looking presentable. And I think Amanda had that expression like, are we going to talk about this? Because I feel like we'll have to wait for next week, but I feel like Nancy is one of those people where is Nancy going to tell her son? Because this is her son's wife, right? But this is also the daughter she's never had. So I'm like, what is Nancy going to do, right? What would you do in that situation? You don't really know unless you're in it. So, and them kissing, I mean, she's married. The chemistry between Amanda and Sergio is off the charts, right? We all see it. But I'm a little torn. Even if you're in a dead marriage, so to speak, like it's still cheating. But I do like the chemistry between Amanda and Sergio. So it's good TV, it's drama, it's not real. So I can be torn because it's not real life. But I hope you enjoyed the episode. Definitely a lot of drama. I love the actresses in this movie or in this show. They do such a great job bringing these characters to life. So I look forward to it every week. I hope you enjoyed my review. If you have any comments or questions, you can leave them below, and I will see you next week. Bye.